In this video, we're going to build an awesome hobbit village with a twist. Basically, each hobbit hole will be in the theme of a country, and this will enable us to learn more about different cultures and ways of living across the globe. Minecraft has a limited variety of blocks, so finding the right colors and textures to fit each country's style will be quite a challenge. But after all, we're here for that. So let's get straight in. Before we actually start building the international hobbit holes, we first need to find a decent hill for the village. So I feel like this one is a bit too steep, but on the other hand, I feel like this hill is pretty good. So the very first hobbit hole on our list will be the Irish hobbit hole. So if you don't know already, I am half Irish, so I really wanted to start with this country. And I feel this spot right here could be pretty good. So first off, let's clear up a bit of dirt. And I'm doing that because I'd like to have a potato field and maybe some chickens at the front. So for the block palette, I was thinking what would be more Irish than having a green hobbit hole. For making green dye, we need some cactus, so I guess it's time to go out and explore the world. As finding a desert is taking quite some time, we might as well learn a bit more about Ireland. It is often called the Emerald Isle because of how lush and green the landscape is, and this is mainly due to an abundance of rain all year round. Ireland's music is recognizable across the world, with the most popular instruments being the Irish fiddle, the tin whistle, and the Celtic harp. Okay, we have finally found a desert, and I'm wondering if I've been living in a cave, but I didn't know you could get these flowers on the cactus now. And I think we've got a camel. Hello there, Mr. Camel. Yeah, I should probably name him, even though we're not going to bring him back straight away because it's going to take ages. And we're going to name you Jasper. Now, another block I'd like to use is sandstone, so we might as well make the most of being in the desert to collect plenty of sand. Now, last but not least, I'm gonna get some clay for making terracotta. So now that we've got everything, let's get building. We're gonna have a large circle in the center with a little one on the side. And next, let's fill everything in with green terracotta. Then we can dig up the entrance, and for a slight change of color, we're gonna use sandstone instead. By the way, if you're enjoying the video and you'd like to show your support, you can get some awesome Tootsie merch to stay warm this winter. Okay, so we've got the exterior of the Irish hobbit hole complete, so now it's time to work a bit on the inside. So a traditional Irish cottage wall is often made out of stone with lime and sand mortar, with a nice coat of white paint on top. So we're going to use sandstone to have the combination of a pale color as well as a nice texture, and I guess it also fits with the sand mortar that was used. An Irish cottage often has a hardwood floor, so we'll use oak planks for that. And finally, the roof was held up with large beams, but as this is a hobbit hole, I will leave the ceiling out of dirt to keep the underground feel. So actually, I decided to add a second little circle because I feel it makes the house look a little bit like a clover. While we decorate the inside, let me tell you about what the Irish use alongside wood for the fireplace. Turf has been an important part of Irish culture and history, and it is still used today in many parts of the country. Turf, or peat, is a sedimentary deposit made up of partially decayed plants that has been harvested. It is cut from bogs, dried, and burnt as a fuel source for heating and cooking. So as you can see, I added some old furniture, beds, a fireplace, as well as a random pig and chicken couple, but this is actually not random at all because in the olden days, humans and animals often lived in one room. So I decided we're gonna use an invisible item frame so that we're able to place down some potatoes. I think this is a simple but effective addition. So now that the interior is complete, let's work a bit on the outdoor area. So we can first create a little fence along the side, and then let's add a little pathway with some potato crops all around. And finally, we can add a bit of moss on the hobbit hole to make it more green, as well as placing a couple leaves. And there we are, guys. The very first hobbit hole is complete. Now I'm just gonna add a finishing touch, so we can put a little sign with the country's name on it, and I'm gonna do that for every hobbit hole. And you know what? what? We're gonna make a little checklist to keep track of what we do. The next hobbit hole on our list is going to be the Filipino hobbit hole, and we're gonna build it right next to the Irish one. The inspiration for this hobbit hole will be the bahay kubo, which is a traditional Filipino house. So for the block palette, we will mainly use the selection of bamboo blocks and items. Okay, so first off, let's collect a whole load of bamboo. Yeah, I'm really sorry guys for stealing all your food. Wait, you know what? I'm actually gonna feed them, so that they could forgive me. Oh no, what happened? That's weird. There, that's a happy panda. So as the traditional Filipino houses are built on stilts, we're gonna wait for the night to fall to go hunting spiders to craft scaffoldings. But nevertheless, we can still start building. So I'm simply gonna start one block above the ground, and we're gonna build the circle. Okay, so now that we're done with the entrance, let's go find some spiders. Okay, perfect. We've got 2 over here. So we got 1 piece of string, but I'd like to get at least 2. So basically, we're gonna place 5 scaffoldings on each side, and then we can make 2 little circles on top. Next, we can fill in everything with bamboo blocks. Now that we're done with the shape, let's work on the inside while learning about the Philippines. The Philippines is an archipelago, or string of over 7,000 islands in Southeastern Asia. The 2 largest islands, Luzon and Mindanao, make up for 2/3 of the total land area. A famous landmark is the Puerto Princesa subterranean river, or underground river, because sub means under and terranean is the earth. It is a perfect example of a karst landscape with mesmerizing limestone formations, extensive caverns, and a distinctive blend of saltwater and freshwater ecosystems. The karst landscape is a set of landforms characterized by regions where the rock dissolves relatively quickly with the passage of water. So basically, all of Minecraft's underground caves are formed by erosion and the passage of water. The traditional bahay kubo is often characterized by its elevated structure and use of local materials. It also has a thatched roof, which is made from natural plant-based materials like grass, rushes, and straw. So to bring this into the hobbit hole, I placed down some mangrove roots because it looks a bit similar. Now, for a little tour of the house, as you can see, I made all the furniture out of bamboo, and I also made some simple beds here, and we also have a little cooking area with a fire, and for the sink, I got the idea of putting a dripstone because this is a reference to the Puerto Princesa underground river. And I also added a bit of dripstone here as well. Now for the outside, I of course planted some bamboo, and I wanted to pretend like Minecraft had the rice crop, so I just used a mix of firefly bushes, dried grass, and some wheat. Now you might be wondering, why is there a tiny enclosure here? Well, basically, one of the most famous Filipino foods is lechon, which is an entire roasted pig. So no, we're not gonna roast a pig, but I'm still gonna bring one over in reference to that. Okay, we've got the pig in his new home, and by the way, I also put some chicken here in reference to the traditional chicken adobo. Okay, so we are fully done with the Filipino hobbit hole, and I of course added the sign for the country. Next, we're gonna do a country that actually colonized the Philippines after the Spanish, and we're of course talking about the United States. So it's a bit of a cliche, but I know that Americans like everything big, so we're gonna build a slightly larger hobbit hole compared to what we've done until now. So first things first, we need to clear out the side of the hill here. So for the block palette of the US Hobbit hole, I'd like to use the 3 colors of the American flag. So I'm stocking up on pale oak for the white, mangrove wood for the red, and finally I'm gonna use some blue terracotta. So now that we've got everything, let's start building. so we're done with the outside of the US Hobbit hole. As you can see, it is a bit bigger, and we're actually going to do the inside a bit larger than usual as well. So first, we need to clear out all the stone. So for the floor, we're going to go ahead and use some oak planks to have a fairly bright interior. And then for the walls, I need to head back once again to the pale oak forest to chop down loads of trees, because we're going to be using the stripped version for the walls. This is because a lot of traditional American houses have wood flooring and white walls. I'd like to build a huge quartz chimney, so for that we need to pop into the nether to stock up. And you know what? I'm gonna make the most of the levels I got by enchanting a new bow. So while we decorate the US Hobbit hole, let's learn a bit more on this very famous country. The United States of America is the world's third largest country in size and nearly the third largest in terms of population. It is actually more than twice the size of the European Union. Throughout its history, the United States has been a nation of immigrants. The population is diverse, with people from all over the world seeking refuge and a better way of life. But before all that, the first human beings to arrive in North America are thought to have come over a land bridge from Asia and Siberia. In fact, when European settlers arrived in the Americas, historians estimate there were over 10 million Native Americans living there. By the 1900s, their estimated population was under 300,000, so we can imagine the violence thrust upon them by the colonists, destroying their community. Okay, so we are done with the United States Hobbit hole. So as you can see, I added loads of vegetation to decorate the outside, as well as this adorable swing. And then for the inside, we've got a fairly modern living room, and I put a nice cake and some cookies on the table. And of course, we have the cozy fireplace. Now, as I'd like to make at least 20 hobbit holes, I'm afraid I'm going to run out of space. So I think I'm going to spend some time planning out where each hobbit hole will be, just to be sure we'll have space for everything. So as I was running out of help on the shovel, I headed over to the village and refreshed the trades of this librarian until I got mending. Now, I don't want to pay this guy full price, so we're gonna get blaze rods for making potions. And for that, of course, it's time to go in the nether to find a fortress. Now, as I have the replay mod, I can't use Optifine to remove the fog, so what we're gonna do is turn on the shaders. Yeah, there's nothing I hate more than shaders in the nether because they are so bright. But on the good side, we've got a crimson forest here, as well as a warped forest, and I think this is a nether fortress, so we're just gonna bridge over in this direction. Yeah, I just need to be careful about this guy swimming around in his jacuzzi. And this is of course my favorite part of Minecraft. I'm loving this. No! Oh, this is so annoying. And there's another one here, and another one here. Oh, come on, guys. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't have power, so my bow is really bad. So where was the other guy? Okay, never mind. Oh no, not again. Okay, I got him quickly. So we somehow managed to reach the fortress in one piece, and now it's time to explore. Yeah, I'm actually taking the horse armor so that we can put them on our horse friends. And we also need to collect the nether warts for brewing. Okay, now let's hunt some blazes. Okay, so we've got the weakness potion and the golden apple, so now I'm just gonna put some armor on Candy, and Cole can have one as well. And now I guess it's time to head back to the village to torture the poor librarian. I guess we just have to wait for the night to fall, and I'm gonna get this Mr. a lovely zombie friend. Oh, I might need to get rid of this guy first. Okay, we'll try to be sneaky. Yeah, I really hate my bow. Okay, I'm gonna try to get this guy. Perfect! He just came on his own. Oh my god, this is so good. I want him to focus on the villager. He's not very intelligent. Oh no. I'm just gonna pile up more. Maybe he'll lose interest. No, 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 no. Why didn't he go in? I can't reach. Oh, oh my god. This one fell in. Okay, we're good. Okay, I'm just gonna kill... Oh my god, what is he doing? Okay, never mind. I'm just gonna block everything up. And we're just gonna let them do their business, privately. So next, I need to get rid of this guy without hurting the villagers. So I'm gonna be a bit technical. Oh no. No. Oh, this is so... Okay, okay. So now we need to throw this. Perfect. And feed him. Come on. There we go. And now we just need to wait a bit. Okay, so I think Mr. is finally healed. Let's see what he has to offer. Yeah, this is a little bit better. So I got 9 books off him, and it should be enough for enchanting my tools and armor. So now let's finish off the terraforming and get back to building the next Hobbit hole. So next on our list, we have New Zealand. And as the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies were filmed there, we're actually gonna build the original Bilbo Baggins Hobbit hole. Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna upgrade my bow because I cannot stand it anymore. Yeah, that's gonna be much better. So this is what we have for the terraforming at the moment. As you can see, we've got quite a few slots for building all the hobbit holes, and I started digging up here, but we've got this entire area to dig up. So do you know what? I'm fed up. I'm gonna take a break to focus on the New Zealand hobbit hole, and we'll come back here later on with some TNT. So for the block palette, we will use some sandstone, bricks, spruce wood, and also some warped wood for the signature green door. So for that, we of course need to go collect some warped wood in the nether. And let's also collect a bit of sand by the shoreline here. Okay, now let's crack on with the building with some facts on the Hobbit and Lord of the Ring movies. It is estimated that more than 100 million copies of The Hobbit have been sold since the first print run. Tolkien describes hobbits as being between 60 centimeters and 1 meter 20 tall. They wear brightly colored clothes with a preference for yellow and green. Generally timid, they are nevertheless capable of great courage in certain circumstances. Now for a fun fact, during the filming of Lord of the Rings, most of the members of the Fellowship took up surfing in New Zealand in their spare time. Amongst them was Viggo Mortensen, who wiped out terribly one day and bruised one side of his face. As a result, some of the scenes of the movie had to be filmed from one side to hide the injury, as makeup wasn't enough. And did you know that New Zealand was the first country to grant women the right to vote in elections back in 1893? So we are finally done with the New Zealand hobbit hole. So as you can see, I made a cozy fireplace, and we've got the kitchen here with a dining table, and finally we've got the bedroom on this side, and I made Bilbo's desk where he writes the story, and I also thought maybe he liked reading, so I added a couple books. Now on the outside here, I'm just gonna add a wheelbarrow with a pumpkin inside it by using a jack-o'-lantern on an armor stand. And there we have it, we are done with Bilbo's hobbit hole. And next on our list is the Indian hobbit hole. I am extremely excited for this hobbit hole. I have already built it in a separate creative world because I like to plan out the builds to make sure they look nice. So this one, I can tell you, will be pretty epic. So for the block palette, we will mainly use sandstone as well as deep slate. And for the door, I'd like to use some red nether bricks. They require quite a few nether warts for crafting, so before I get sandstone, we need to start farming them. And now for the sandstone, I'm back in the desert to just mine a whole bunch because we'll be needing quite a bit. But yeah, as you can see, the collection is really quick, so it shouldn't be too bad. So I think we should have enough here. Yeah, what was this guy doing here? I'm so confused. I think I left the door open. Oh no. Yeah, I think we've got enough red blocks, so let's start building. here is the entrance of the temple, and now we're just gonna work on the top part by adding a sort of little tower. Quick note, I didn't have internet connection for a bit, so I look like a man right now, but to make things less weird, I'm just gonna remove the character entirely. So India is the 7th largest country in the world. The country covers an area of over 1.2 million square miles, with a hugely varied geography, ranging from the mighty snow-capped Himalayas in the north to the tropical Indian Ocean beaches in the south, with vast deserts and plains in between. Known as the spice capital, India produces more spices than any other country, with pepper, cardamom, and turmeric being among the most exported. Hinduism is the oldest and most complex of all established belief systems, with origins that date back more than 5,000 years in India. So for the flooring, I'd like to use some brown glazed terracotta, so for that we need to collect a couple cocoa beans. And I also brought along some bones, so that maybe we can make some new friends. So we're gonna tame this little guy. Perfect. He didn't need that much, so we can get him a friend as well. Oh my god, wow! We can get so many friends. Okay, do we have another one? Yes, I think over here. Wow, these guys are very nice. They don't require many bones. So for the names, we'll have Molly, Caitlin, and Shadow, which are all name suggestions from you guys. By the way, can someone explain to me how this panda got here? It looks a bit ridiculous. Okay, kids, let's get back home. So basically, if we combine the terracotta with some brown dye, we can then put it in the furnace and get this cool glazed terracotta that looks really good as a rug. So for the inside, the floor of course has this nice pattern, and I made some bright orange couches and a table out of acacia wood. And then on the sides here, I'd like to add some candles to decorate, so we need to go find a beehive. Thankfully, I had spotted one here earlier, so we can just place a campfire underneath, and then we can safely get some wax. Let's add the candles on each side, and now I guess we can work on the outside a bit. So I'm first gonna collect a bunch of spruce leaves, and then we can make a path all along the front, and on each side we'll have some water. And I actually got inspired by the outdoors of the Taj Mahal, so we're also gonna make a row of trees on each side. So here we are, the Indian hobbit hole is all done, and honestly it doesn't really look like a hobbit hole except for the door, but I really wanted to make something a bit different to make the entire Hobbit village look a bit more unique. So next on our list is my second nationality, which is France. So I already know exactly what we're gonna do. The traditional French countryside house is often built out of stone, so for the block palette we will use sandstone for the nice stone design, and we're also gonna use warped wood because the house I grew up in had blue shutters, so I really associate this color with French houses. And it's really handy because I don't need to stock up on materials because I still have plenty left from the New Zealand hobbit hole, so let's get to work. So I added a little brick wall all around because bricks are often used in French countryside houses. And then in the center here, we're gonna make a mini vineyard. So I'm using some fences and oak leaves, and I think it looks pretty cute. Now for the inside, we're gonna make a wine cellar. So of course the French adore wine, so I thought this would be the perfect thing to build. The entire French wine production is controlled with a strict plan, and winemakers have to follow certain quality standards and regulations. You may know some iconic names like Bordeaux, Burgundy, and Champagne. And for a bit of French pronunciation, you would say Bordeaux, Bourgogne, et Champagne. Fermentation is the heart of winemaking, where the grape juice transforms into wine. This process is powered by yeast, which consumes the sugars in the grape and converts them into alcohol. So we are almost done with the French hobbit hole, and I'm in love with the wine cellar. It just looks so nice. This has to be one of my favorite hobbit hole interiors yet. So here we've got some grapes that we can squish with our feet, and here I put a carpet, and it looks a bit like leftover wine when we poured some. Now I'm trying not to use that many resource packs so that the building stays fairly challenging, but I thought for this house having some nice vines on the wall would look really nice. And you know what, I might add some inside as well. So yeah, that is it with the French hobbit hole. Next on our list, we've got Brazil. So for the block palette, we will use a mix of snow and pale oak, spruce for the roof, and for a bit of color, we will also use some glazed terracotta and warped wood. And if you're wondering why I chose snow as a white block, well, let's say it's fairly easy to get. And we might as well start picking some flowers for the glazed terracotta. So for the inspiration, I noticed Brazil had some really nice 19th century houses with white walls and very colorful corners and windows, so we'll try to replicate that with the Hobbit hole. And now let's work on the interior. So the Brazilian Hobbit hole is complete. As you can see, I used a bunch of bright colors, and I made this little cooking area in the corner, and then we've got some furniture with some pots, and finally a little living room area. By the way, if you're wondering how I choose the countries for each Hobbit hole, basically I chose the nationalities that watch the most my videos, so it's highly possible you will see your country in the Hobbit Village. Next on our list, we're gonna build the United Kingdom Hobbit hole. So of course this includes England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. For the block palette, we will use some bricks, spruce wood, moss and pale oak logs. So I'd like to make a sort of cozy cottage, and you know what, let's have a bit of music while we build. Now for the interior, I want to build a cozy living room for enjoying an afternoon tea. And yes, once again, it's a bit of a cliche to think that people in the UK love tea, but if we look at the facts, since the 17th century, the United Kingdom has been one of the world's largest consumers of tea. It was originally an upper class drink in Europe, but tea gradually spread through all classes, eventually becoming common. So we can't have this cozy afternoon tea setup without some actual tea. So what I did is I got a resource pack that turns water bottles into mugs. And we're also gonna add a couple cookies here and there. So I got inspired by someone called Cheddar Biscuit, and in their tea party setup, they had actually put their pets in the chairs. So we have to do the same. Here is everyone. I think I'm gonna take Jazzy, Gabriel, Molly, and Caitlin, and Shadow can stay here to guard the barn. You're gonna have a nice tea party. They're probably gonna stay in the UK Hobbit hole forever, but it's fairly cozy, so they should be fine. Okay, now how cute is that? This is one of the most adorable things I've seen in Minecraft. Well, have fun in your forever home, guys. And I guess we've got the UK Hobbit hole complete. Next on our list is South Africa. So I found these really nice looking round African houses, so we're gonna try to replicate that next to the UK Hobbit hole. For the block palette, we will mainly use some warped wood, deep slate, and maybe a bit of glazed terracotta for color. Yeah, I'm not sure we have enough deep slate left, so I'm gonna collect a bit more. The Cradle of Humankind is a paleoanthropological site that is located not far from Johannesburg in South Africa. Now, to understand this complicated word, Paleos means ancient, anthropos means human, and logos is the study of. Therefore, it literally means the study of ancient humans. This site is home to the largest known concentration of human ancestral remains anywhere in the world. Inside our little African hut, I made something fairly basic. So we've got a little campfire for cooking some food, and I put some carpets to rest on, as well as a couple pots with plants in them. So it may not be much, but traditional African huts are actually pretty similar to that. Oh, and as a final touch, I decided to add a little enclosure with a couple worm cows. So we are done with the South African hut. Next, let's do Germany. So we'll be using a whole bunch of dark oak, as well as a mix of snow and stone bricks for the inside. First off, I need to restock on dark oak because I'm running a bit low. Half-timbered houses are one of the most distinctive highlights of German architecture, so I'm using the dark oak to recreate the timber lines. And did you know that half-timbering is not an architectural style, but a construction method? This technique involves structuring walls with interlocking wooden beams. The beams can be positioned horizontally, vertically, or diagonally, while the spaces in between them are filled with stones or bricks. Now, I'd like to quickly restock on iron. And I'd really like to use sea pickles for decorating the interiors, so let's head over to the Warm Ocean to find a coral reef. Yeah, this is really disappointing. I've been looking for ages and I simply cannot find a coral reef. Yeah, I'm scared I need to use up a whole bunch of time and all that for a couple sea pickles. This is a really annoying part of Minecraft. Oh my goodness, guys. I have traveled almost 4,000 blocks, but finally we have found a coral reef. That was unnecessarily very time consuming. I mean, I just need these to make pretend glasses for my hobbit holes. But yeah, I'm still quite happy we have managed to find some. As you can see, this house is quite tall, so we're actually going to have 2 levels. So the upper floor will be a nice bedroom, and downstairs we can make a kitchen, dining table, and a fireplace to keep the imaginary German hobbits nice and warm. And here is the German hobbit hole complete. Now we're going to move to the other side of the world by doing Canada. As Canada has a fairly cold climate, I'm imagining a cozy log cabin covered in snow. So of course for that we're going to use a bunch of dark oak blocks, as well as a bit of spruce for contrast, and some snow sheets for the roof. Now let's crack on with the building. The Canadian moose holds great significance as both a symbol of the country and one of its most iconic wildlife species. Canada boasts the largest population of moose in the world, with estimates in excess of 1 million. While moose are generally perceived to be less dangerous than bears, more people are injured by moose than by bears in northern territories. Moose will usually flee when threatened, but under certain circumstances, they can become aggressive. Honestly, I love this hobbit hole because I'm currently in the mountains and it reminds me a lot of that. So the interior is out of wood with a nice cozy chimney and some comfy couches. I also added some snow sheets and vegetation on the outside, so I'm pretty happy with everything. And I guess that's it for the Canadian hobbit hole. Next, we have Indonesia. So when I visited this country, I noticed there was a bunch of temples with pointy, bright orange roofs. So we're gonna try to replicate that. And for the block palette, we will use some oak for a change, dark oak, and a lot of orange terracotta. This is gonna be the most time-consuming block to collect. So the first step is obviously going to raid the swamp for all its clay blocks. And then let's pop by the flower forest to harvest 1,000,000 orange flowers. And I think step 3 should be getting a bunch of oak. I think we might as well start building the lower part out of oak. And now let's build this enormous roof. For the inside, I used a lot of wood, and I also added a bunch of hanging lanterns because I thought they looked pretty nice. By the windows, we've got some firefly bushes, which are meant to represent the rice crop, and for the bed, this might look a bit weird, but I was trying to make a sort of mosquito net so that insects don't bother the Indonesian hobbits. And don't ask me why there's a random cow in here. I noticed it halfway through, and I feel it's quite funny, so we're just gonna leave her here. And for the outside, we're gonna make a huge rice field. So for that, I'm gonna dig a huge rectangle, fill it up with water, and add some firefly bushes here and there to represent the rice. So this is the Indonesian hobbit hole complete. And it's definitely one of my favorites. Next, let's do the Netherlands. So for this one, I was way too tempted to do a silly joke, so we're just gonna do a hobbit hole with a nether portal in the middle. Yeah, on second thought, I'm actually gonna recreate a geode, and the portal will be in the center. So of course, for the block palette, we will need the 3 geode blocks, as well as some obsidian for the portal. Yeah, I just realized we really need some amethyst crystals to decorate, so I need to get Silk Touch on a pickaxe. So I was about to head into the nether to mine quartz for levels, but the levels I have are actually enough for getting Silk Touch. I know this is not a diamond pickaxe, but for the moment, we'll be fine with that. I'm a bit worried because we've got Trevor here, but I can't find Caramel anymore because I left the door open, so we need to check if she's not in the nether. Oh my god. Oh my god, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my god. I did not go prepared in the nether. That was so scary. Yeah, I don't think Caramel was here, so I expect she went down in the mine, so that should be okay. And by the way, the Hobbit Village is really starting to look nice. I mean, in a couple episodes, this entire Let's Play world will look incredible. Okay, so let's go get the crystals to finish off the Netherland Hobbit hole. I actually rewatched the footage, and Caramel was in the nether. I just was so panicked I didn't see her. And now for the final touch, let's add in the obsidian to make a portal. And hopefully it's gonna light up. Okay, perfect, we've got it. Now to continue my silly joke, I realized the most suitable thing to do would be to build the Dutch interior directly in the nether. And here is Miss Caramel. I almost died for you. Well, actually I'm exaggerating, but please go back in the overworld. There she is. I don't know what to do with her. You're super far from your friend now. I think I'll just let her walk around a bit, and maybe later on she can go in one of the hobbit holes. So step 1, let's gather up all the materials for building. And step 2 is of course the building. For a bit of personal info, my Irish grandfather used to watch every single Formula 1 race, so after he passed, I actually got interested in the sport, and I think about him every time I watch an F1 Grand Prix. So the next fact will be related to that. Max Verstappen is a Dutch racing driver and 4-time Formula 1 world champion. He broke many F1 records, like the highest winning percentage in a season, the most wins in a season, as well as the most points. I admit I was not his biggest fan in the beginning, but his driving skills are truly impressive, so he definitely deserves to be mentioned for the Dutch Hobbit hole fact. Yeah, it's a bit annoying that we're on a rainy day, but let me show you the inside. So yeah, we arrive in this nice room. Honestly, it doesn't feel like we're in the nether, but we are. Oh my god, why is it so dark? Okay. That's weird. But yeah, as you can see, I made some bright crimson couches with a table on each side for the Dutch hobbits to eat. I mean, to be fair, this is 2 birds, 1 stone, because we're done with the Netherlands Hobbit hole, and at the same time, I have a really nice entrance to the nether. Next is Mexico. So I want to build the Mexican Hobbit hole where this huge mound of dirt is. So I think it's high time to explode everything with TNT. So I could only make 9 pieces of TNT with all the gunpowder I had, so we might end up doing most of the digging by hand. But yeah, let's still explode some of it. I mean, that helps out a bit, but now it's time to finish off the job by hand. So we've got the land nicely terraformed for the Mexican Hobbit hole, so I'm actually going to build it in this awkward corner here. So yeah, let's go prepare all the materials we need. So for the block palette, we will have some snow, a bit of quartz and glazed terracotta, as well as spruce and a mix of granite and bricks for the roof. I've looked all over the place and I cannot find Caramel. Yeah, I don't even know if she's alive or dead. It's just going to be a mystery, but I really hope she'll just turn up randomly at some point. It would be really nice. So there I'm just just gonna stock up on snow again, and then we'll get on with the building. So we're gonna make a nice looking Mexican villa with white walls and a brick roof, and I'm also gonna add a fact on Frida Kahlo, who is a Mexican painter I really admire. So we've got the Mexican house complete. So I made a little entrance here, and then we've got a sort of living room, dining area with the very difficult to find sea pickles. And on the second floor, I wanted to make a reference to Frida Kahlo, so I put a bunch of paintings on the wall. Next on our list is Poland. So we're gonna do the Polish hobbit hole over here. The inspiration will be the adorable painted houses of Zalipie, so they're gonna be tricky to replicate well, but I'll do my best using glazed terracotta. The village of Zalipie is so renowned that it has been inscribed on UNESCO's National List of Intangible Cultural Heritage. The village is known for its long-lasting tradition of painting cottages, barns, wells, and also interiors with colorful floral patterns. So of course, I am not giving this village justice with my mediocre hobbit hole, but I even tried replicating a painted well at the front, so hopefully my Polish viewers will see the effort, even though it's a bit of a mess. So yeah, this is the Polish hobbit hole complete. We're gonna head back up the hill to build this next one, and we'll be doing Malaysia. I'm using this stunning traditional Malay house as inspiration, so I'll do my best to make it as similar as possible. Look what I found! I mean, she's blending in so well with the orange roof, but wow, we have found Caramel. So I guess Caramel has selected the Indonesian hobbit hole, and it's nice because she won't be on her own, as we've got the random cow here as well. Wow, you seem excited to see me. So right before I get a lead for this very naughty frog, I'm just gonna show you what I did for the Malaysian hobbit hole. So as you can see, I made a traditional Malay house with a nice and simple interior. And then for the outside, I started doing a swamp, but I'd like to add a couple palm trees. So we're gonna head over to the savannah to collect some acacia logs and leaves. Okay, before I forget, Mrs., you're gonna come with me because you've been worrying your mum there. I didn't even know if you were alive or not, so please don't do that again. And it's perfect, you're matching the rug, so you should feel right at home here. I find the Minecraft frogs have so much character, like she is the most sassy girl I have ever seen. Back at the Hobbit Village, I built up the palm trees around the Malaysian hobbit hole, and here is the finished look. Now I know you guys love when I build with the music, so as we're almost done, we're gonna build the next 3 houses along with some music. Number 1 is Sweden, and I noticed a lot of their houses are red and white, so we're gonna use mangrove and pale oak. Next is Italy, so I decided to build a lovely yellow house from the builder Monkeys because it reminded me of the bright, colorful houses in Burano. And last but not least, we're gonna do Australia. So my favorite part of Australia is Queensland, and I noticed the houses were a bit elevated, so I asked a local why, and he told me that basically it lets air in through the floor, so it's kind of a natural air conditioning. So as promised, let's finish off with some music. So let's have a look at the 3 houses we've just built. So first we have the Swedish hobbit hole, and I made the interior very white, as you can see, and we've got a fairly modern looking kitchen. Then we have to go all the way up to the Italian house. So to decorate the outside, I made a little vineyard, and then inside we've got a mix of the dark wood tones and also the bright yellow and the bricks. We've got this cozy living room as well as a small dining area. And finally, I'm not actually entering this house the correct way, so let me correct myself. As you can see, I made this huge sugarcane field because I saw quite a few in Queensland. And then we've got a fairly simple interior with a kitchen, and this doesn't make any sense because I made a fireplace, but in Queensland it's kind of hot all year round. So yeah, I don't know why I did that. And now it's time for the very last hobbit hole of the village. It's gonna be none other than Greece. And I was obviously inspired by Mykonos and Santorini because they have this stunning white and blue architecture, so we definitely have to do that for the last house. So we are done with the very last hobbit hole. As you can see, I made a little circle for the entrance, and I feel like the bed really fits with the house, but then I don't know what I did over here. We almost can't see any white anymore. But yeah, we've got a little desk for the Greek hobbits to study. And there we are, guys. We have built an incredible hobbit village. This is actually one of the projects I'm most proud of, and it was very important for me to do this because I wanted to say thank you to all you guys for watching the videos from all over the world. So I'm sorry to anyone who didn't see their country in the video. I hope you can understand that I can't do every single country. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it, and if you'd like to share any ideas for future videos, you can do so in the comments down below. To show your support, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I guess I will see you in the next video. Love you!